Good morning, traders. Welcome to part 2 webinar for the weekly outlook. For those traders in YouTube, you may want to know why I'm on gold. Well, if you watch part 1, you would see that we took this trade a couple of minutes ago. We had an entry here, the stop is here, and we're targeting a lower point, which means we're expecting it to finish this move, which is a possibility that we could be coming down for this move here today. So I'm expecting this to probably come here, we'll make a new high, and then the bigger drop might come, right? That is a trade we're looking for right now. So let's see if we get it. Worst case is we're going to get break even in this trade. It's going to be tough. You can't lose on trades like this, which means you're going to expect in their worst case scenario to get break even. Good trade. Now that's what we do in here every day in this trading room. If you want to join us, send me a Skype message. And let me type my Skype here. It's in the description as well, but you can take it from here. MANGAL457. Send me a message on Skype and you will get all the details on how you can join us. So let's go. We did the first part already. It's out, so please watch it if you haven't. Let's start with the second part, which is, I'll probably start with the cryptos first. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going down, nothing new here. Let's go back to the 4-hour and look at the bigger structure, told you what we are looking at. So we took this buy, and if you remember, go back to last week's webinar. We took that trade, we took it to the expectation that it should come to this stop. We closed the trade here. And we were probably looking for a possible trade to break that top, but risk to reward is no good. Right? If you thought it's going to take off like a rocket, you would take it, but you'll get out of the trade right here. Right? So this was a very nice trade. Now we're expecting 1, 2, 3. It might be 1, 2, 3, but because the top was not broken, it could be much more complex than that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this actually comes here, go back up, do this, go back up, break the top, come back here, break the top, and then drop. And we'll be in this. Right? It's possible. Now, every time we get a flag in a setup and we think one of those patterns are forming, right, a more complex pattern, what is the next piece of it? We'll go for a trade. So right now, there might be a sell setup here. But this has to be almost perfect before I go with this sell because we didn't break the top. So even if I take this sell, I'll be very cautious that it might just do this and go back up to the top. Do you want to sell Bitcoin now? No, you're always looking for the buy. And remember this one. This could come back, break the low again, because I showed you this pattern here. I said, and you see how complex this pattern was? With all the up and down inside of it before it eventually breaks the low and then go back up. So yes, there's a good chance this could get more complex. Come here and then go. It doesn't have to break the low. There's no need for it to break the low. I'll just put the straight line. There's no need to break the low. It can turn from here, but there's a very good chance that if it's making a flat there, it will break the low. We will break this low. At least this low. At least this low will be broken. And then that up move could start. So what you're actually looking for is your best entry point, not your bids. You know, every time you get a buy setup, you're looking for a best entry point because this looks like a very nice running flat that you're making. Could be an expanding flat, and then you'll be looking for an upside. That's in case you think how these patterns work. I want you to go back, find this chart on TradingView. You have to go back to about this date here when we broke that low, and we're looking for this buy going up. But you'll find it in a 1 or a buy setup at the bottom here going up. And the forecast for that was to break this top. Because this was going to go and break that top only as a 1, 2, 3. And you can imagine if you were there and you got a flag, you just either buy again, right? So that trade by itself was amazing. The same thing here. Now you're making a big flat and then we'll go break the top again once it's finished. I don't know that it will be a simple flat like that. But even if it's a simple flat, then what you want is break this low again and then go back up to break the top. Now it could be more complex than that, which means they could, you know, they could come here and come back here and come here and come back here and make this come here, go back there, come here, and then go break the top. And you get this. That is also possible. But if that starts to develop and we see that development, then that's when I'll change the forecast. The forecast is based on patterns that I know, based on what I have. So what I have is what I take and said, okay, what is the next possible piece that can develop from this? And there are a number of variations, but we go with the simpler ones. So I'll go with this coming here and going back up. That's the simplest pattern you have. if this piece instead, it will go back up in any case, but it might not go to this stop, but it might just go to this level, come back here, do this, do this, do. But then I would look at this as a correction and said, well, we're not getting this, but we're getting this, which means we're going to do this. We're going to go back up, make this pattern, come back down, make this pattern, right? See, this is going to be 1, 2, 3. This is going to be 1, 2, 3. This is going to be 1, 2, 3, and then go up. See? So unless I get enough information for complexity, I cannot forecast complexity. That's not how this works. But if you don't know all the patterns and you don't know how complex patterns develop, you cannot make those forecasts accurate. And that's why most of our forecasts are accurate. So if you would like to join us again, get the Skype and join. You will learn to do this. Go back to the 1 hour and you will get very nice trades. This was a very good trade in the 1 hour. If you were trading Bitcoin, this is a very nice trade you can get there. You had a trade here, you had a stop here, your entry was here, this is your top. You actually made 1-to-1. Not bad. And especially if you're trading Bitcoin without leverage, that is, you just doubled it, 100%, 1-to-1, right? You go all in because you're trading without leverage. Right? It just went about 80% there for you. So it's kind of the movement is good for you depending on how you look at it, right? If you're going 100% in, then you make quite a lot. ETH. This is coming down back without breaking the top here again too, which means I don't think that the correction is completed itself. I'm not looking at a contracting flat, right? I'm not looking at this as a possible contracting flat. It could be, and this will just come break this low and then go back up. If that's the case, let it break the low and then we'll look for the buy setup. You're not looking to sell this again. You're looking for the best entry for the buy. Like I was saying, when you're at the top here, you're not looking for a buy, you're looking for your best entry for a sell. Same thing at the bottom here. You're not looking for the sell, you're looking for your best entry for the buy. Right? So let it come down. We'll decide if that is a contracting flat. I'm not focusing the contracting flat as yet, because I think it could be more complex. We don't have a buy setup. There's no entry there, right? If there's anything, there's a sell setup there. XRP, there might be a buy setup here, right? This could be a buy setup, but it might all be just a bigger flat as well. Take this off, and you can see that we came down from this point. Went back, came down, we're going back up. This by itself here, this is not a buy setup. And by itself here, this is not a sell setup. So an entry above the top makes sense if they actually do this. Go to the top there and then come back down. It's really a big sideways move. See? The depth of this tell me that this, even if this goes, it's going to be more of a big sideways move. It looks like they can go back to the top here. I wouldn't be surprised if they do this and then come back here. This would be a nice flat pattern. Right? Can it go here and take off? Well, good for you if they do that. You're looking for a buy, not a sell. So an entry above the top there is a good idea. This top, not this one. This top, that's the entry. This one is just showing you where the top is. Take this off. This was a buy that we closed and put an entry above the top there. By the way, some of them we were trying to buy long term. This, can't remember if this was one of them. There are 3 or 4 of them. No, this necessarily was one, but if this was one, you would be out of the trade. And that's the good thing about, even if you're doing investment and you're trading patterns, is that when you get into this and it doesn't start to do this, you can say, okay, once it gets to this level, I'll exit. Once you see that flag, you exit. You would look for an next buy setup, right? It's whether you want to sell or not, that's a whole different story. But you can exit your trade and you can rebuy the same thing even if you're an investor. You could just, if you bought here, you exit there and you buy back here, you already made some profit. But there's no buy setup here. So we'll have to wait. Will it break the low? I think, yes, they'll break the low. They'll probably look at this as some kind of a correction. It's a 1, 2, 3, so it could be a correction. We'll break the low, and once we break the low, guess what? We're looking for the buy setup, right? Let's go to ADA. Let it break the low, wait for buy setups. Same here. All those are buys that we closed, right? Same here. You have a buy entry here. You can keep that buy entry, but I think this one will come and break the low. You might even get a sell if you're interested. Come break the low here, break this low. It's going to go back up to this top, make a flat, probably come back down. So all depends on whether we break this low here. If we break the bigger low, then there's no necessity for them to come back down. But if they don't break it, they will have to go up there, come back down, and then go. So any break of this low is a buy setup. You would look for a buy setup from the bottom, not from the top, but from the bottom. The reason we're keeping that there is just in case they do this really fast like this. And you don't get a chance to get a setup, you'll take the trade, right? But if we get a flag here, this would be the perfect buy setup. And most likely we will. This is one of them that we're long-term buy-in. There's a buy-in tree there, and that buy-in tree is valid. It's pretty valid. If this comes really low, then that buy-in tree is not valid. So if this comes, work its way down to the bottom here, and we'll take off that buy-in tree, we wait for this flat to go back up, make a new low, then we look for the buy-in tree again. But as of now, that's a valid entry. Here you go. This one, we had an entry. It didn't trigger. It kind of come down some more, take this off. It's consolidating within this range. I think we would probably go lower. You can put it like this. There's a good chance. This entry, you can still leave it there, but I don't think it makes sense because they're going to go lower. I see they're already breaking down. So let it go lower. Wait for it to break the lows. Look for your buy setups. You can keep that entry there. It's not affecting anything. You want this to actually go beyond this point. Wait for buy setup at this point here. Not here, but from this point here. Dash. Same thing. We had a buy. We closed it. We put the entry above the top. If you're following me, you'll understand why we do that. You put the entry above the top. It's going down. It's going to break the low. Again, if you're looking for sells, then you had sell setups. We're not looking for sells. Wait for this to break the low. Buy. Look for your buy setup. We had this buy, we close it, put the entry above the top. It's coming down lower. Great, let it make a new low. Let this go make a new low, then we look for buy setups again. That is not changing. Same for this. Make a new low, look for buy setups, all of them. This is the same thing. We had this buy, we closed it, we bought it, you should have closed it back again. There's 10 hours there sideways. It's going down. We assume we're going to go down. It's probably going to break the low. You can see we assume that is a running flat. There's a sell setup here. If you want to sell, it's probably going to come more here. And then look for your buy setup from here. Because if you look at it this way, we're thinking this is 1, 2, 3. When we look at it like this from here, that is also possible. You can make that argument if you want, depending on which is the high. This one is the high, or this is the high. How you look at that part. But sorry, guys, I have a little cold, so you'll have to excuse me. I think this is make some flag here, go down, come to the low, and then we're looking for it to go back up. Look for the buys. Once you come to the low, look for the buys. Okay, this was the buy, close, re-enter the top there. It's coming down. This doesn't necessarily have to come down deep, but it's coming down, so we'll wait and see what it's doing. Okay, this has already made an up move. We could be making a flat here, a bigger flat, so wait. If you're making a bigger flat, you might even consider selling it. So if you get a sell setup, there is no sell setup. This is still coming down. So no sell setup, just wait. Let it break the low, let it break this low at least, and maybe this low, and then look for a buy setup. Right? So same here. We bought this, we close it, put an entry above the top. We closed it in here, put an entry above the top. It's coming down, which is good. That's called trade management. You know when to exit because it's not going, it's coming down. Now we just wait and see how low it comes, and then we look for a buy setup. I think they'll probably do this, break the low, and then we wait for a buy setup here. So can it go up from this point? Well, you don't have a buy setup right now. You have to wait for that. This is one we're long-term on. Took the trade, close it, put an entry above the top. It's coming down deep, take off that entry, we'd look for another buy setup. It might break the low again, no problem. That has nothing to do with the bigger structure, right? It might break the low again. Once it breaks the low, we'll go for the buy. And let it break the low and then look for the buy. So put it to the 4 hour. And you can make an assumption that this was that is not really a flag. It might turn out to be one. It might turn out to be a bigger correction, especially if this starts to make a flat here. Come here, go back up there, give us a flat like this. Then we could probably drop again and then go. But if this comes down here, make a flag, we'll buy. Any buy setup you get will take the trade. And the same with this, right? If we bought here, we close the trade, it's coming down lower, let it come lower. We had an entry above the top, take it off, let it break this low, look for your next buy setup. Let me show you this pattern as well. So on most of these cryptos, we're not looking for the sells because they're the lows. What you're looking for them to end of that correction and start. They can drop some more. Actually, you want them to drop some more. If you trade cryptos, you want to drop some more and you want to be in our trading room because we track it in all time frames, which is going to give you an advantage, right? To get out of the trade and re-enter the trade at a lower price, taking off some profit, buying it cheaper, and then go with the same thing. As soon as it breaks the low, we'll start to look for a buy setup, okay? And since you're trading without leverage, this is going to be amazing because here's the thing. If it's going to totally crash, you'll probably be out of it. Right? It's going to make its move up. If it doesn't go, we exit, we let it drop. If it's dropping and it's going to crash, you wouldn't be in the crash. That's the advantage of wave analysis. It prevents you from getting into that crash. So let's go. Let's finish the webinar now. Natural gas. Natural gas is consolidating. It will consolidate, and drop because we're in this consolidation. I don't know what influence the war has on this price. You can see. Oil is going up, but this is not really going up anywhere, right? I'm on the weekly chart and it's not going anywhere, right? It's pretty much in a consolidation for the last, how much? I don't know. This is from December. It's not going anywhere. So although there's a big war going on in natural gas and all those oil and nothing there, it's irrelevant. You could say oil is going up because of the war. So why is not natural gas going up because of the war? They've said the demands are the same problem. Same effect should be, but it's not there. And that means you can't explain everything away because of that. Market has specific behavior. Let's see, it's consolidating. If it consolidates, then the higher probability is going to drop. If this thing consolidates here, if you stay in that consolidation weekly for a month or two more, and then it drops like this. See, this was a consolidation, they dropped. This was a consolidation, they dropped. This was a consolidation for the upside, they went up. In you go, consolidate, up you go. Consolidate, down you go. Consolidate, up you go. What if you get a consolidation? Where do you think it's going to go? Can it break the top? Absolutely. Running flat. So where are we? We're in this one. Say we're in this consolidation. A lot of sharp waves. This is the most corrective part of it. We're going up. We'll probably do this. We might come back here, go back up, come back here, go back up, and then drop, right? If this is all going to be one big consolidation. This looks like the B part of it. So very likely, keep your eyes on that. What is this doing? This is supposed to come down, at least one more down before they go up, right? We were expecting this to drop one more like this and then go up because this is a pattern for upside. You get a 1, 2, 3, you get a 1, 2, 3, you get a 1, 2, 3, you get a 1, 2, 3. We have a 1, we have a 2, we're supposed to get a 3 here and then go, right? Well, didn't happen. So can we assume that this is not what we thought it was going to do? We thought this was making a triangle, and instead of a triangle, you get a contracting flat. Because now this is totally going up. Could this be part of the correction we overlooked? Possibly. Could have overlooked, but will we buy it if we see it in another setup another time? No, you wait until they break out of this structure. And now you want them to make a flag here. And now that becomes a buy because now they're confirming upside. Can it come back down from there here? Yep. If it does, if it come back here and we get 1, 2, 3, we'll probably go back up, come back and then go. And all of this would be a big flat instead of a contracting triangle. See? So to confirm they're going to go up, wait for a flag here and then you buy. You can go long-term buy once you get a flag there. So we're more or less in this piece here and we just have to wait. There was no down move here. It did try to come, but it didn't break out. So we'd assume they just take off from that point. You had a contracting flat here. You can make an argument for a contracting flat. There's something we'd look at like this as a contracting flat, and that's okay. You do have contracting flats. This would be a regular flat. That is okay too. So There's no problem with the pattern. It's the problem is what we thought was going to form and what actually formed. All right, let's see this. Oil is going up. You have to be very, very careful. This is the weekly oil chart. Not this. Sorry, let me go get to the other one. Let me use this one. I'll use this. This is the weekly oil chart. Right? So we had a low. They had a low somewhere here. Went up. You made one. And this was the, well, this wasn't the low. The low was around 20 something, which was here. The low would have been, the actual low of the price was somewhere here, which is under this one. So you can make an argument for 1, 2, 3 for a running flat there, and 1, 2, 3 that this is finished, right? You could also make an argument that this could be an expanding flat here, and this could come back here. Those are two known patterns. And from here, it will go back up like this. So you have two known patterns forming right now. One already completed, which means this, if this is the pattern, this is going to continue to go. But if we're making the bigger expanding flat, this somewhere here, they could turn to come back. So what you're looking for here, you're looking for continuation. You want to see that if it is going to continue to go, it makes more flags. The more flags you get, the more they continue. So you had a small flag here, a flag here, a flag here. This is not so much a complete flag. We'd have to look at this in a lower time frame to see. You can make an argument that there was a running flat there. Probably could go with this one if you want. There's a running flat there with smaller corrections in here going up. If you get a correction here, you can buy. Take your profit off. Once it moves one impulse, take off profit. Don't keep it, because at any time it could drop. Again, before any crazy person go right again that somebody should tell me there's a war going on, let me explain this to you like I explained the gold to you, right? The war is just one thing that is going on in the world right now. There are many, many other things going on right now. And there are many, many other reasons and factors that would influence oil, including, I don't know, what the US says, what they plan to do with whether they're going to sanction the oil, whether they're going to open their own reserves, whether they're going to ask Saudi Arabia to produce more, whether they're going to produce more around the world, whatever. There are so many million things that could happen. I mean, quite a lot of things that could happen. So we don't look at the reason of why it's happening. And never try to factor in that one single reason and say, well, okay, this is why it's happening. That's too narrow a view on things, right? So there will be many, many reasons and many, many things that could influence what's happening. So look at the patterns. The patterns will tell you what the highest probability of which direction is going to go. And if you get a flag or a correction, it's going to go up more. You can buy. What you have to do is be cautioned that there is another possibility of it dropping again. And if it starts to drop, you will just don't sell because it's dropping. You wait for a setup and then you get in the sell. What would the setup give you? Give an advantage of getting out if it just dropped and come right back up. And that's the whole thing about it, is that if you come back in this chart 4 years or 5 years after the war and you look at the patterns will be perfect, except you wouldn't know why it happened if you didn't go and study the history, right, of why each thing happened when. Because everything is factored into what creates the patterns. That's it. Just wait. UK oil, same thing. You see this flat, we knew this was going to go back up once we saw this. And you could have buy if you want, you would have exit, buy, exit. Here wasn't the buy, here was where I thought this would probably come down once more. I thought this would at least go down and then go back up. This is one that goes up. Well, you didn't get the trade. Do you have a sell set up here? You kind of have a sell set up here, actually. See, it's making a sell set up. This is a sharp move down. If they stays in this, they'll probably come down a little bit. If it goes higher, what you'll do is wait for this. If it goes higher like this, then it comes back here, you get a flat for a buy setup. See? That'll become a buy setup rather than sell setup. So if you get that, you can consider the buy. Just like this one. See, they made 1, 2, 3 up, came down back to the low and then go. All right, so you know that you have a flat here. I think this one was kind of incomplete. This one didn't have a breakthrough. It didn't break the low. You can either put it this or go with a contracting flat. I think that the only option is maybe we'll get a running flat in the future. where this drops a little more and go right back up, and then we look at this here as a running flat. That possibility exists too. PayPal. Okay, it's coming down deep. Forget about this. It's going to be a flat and it's going to drop more. So they'll probably come back to about this level, go back up, make a big flat, and then drop again some more. When it comes down, you can look for a buy, and then from the top here, look for a sell. Tesla, it's still consolidating, so it's still a buy. This is still a buy to the upside. You can keep that entry there. Amazon, it's coming down back, take off the entry. It means we're consolidating, and we're still in the consolidation here for a while. Just stay, wait with it. It's still in the B part of that consolidation. US 30. So this one, we tried to buy it on Friday. We end up closing it for break even because we were looking at two factors. We were looking at whether this was all the correction. See, if that was all the correction, this could have taken off. But since that is not all the correction, it means we're making a bigger correction here. So let's look at this two ways, two possibilities. One is that you finish the correction, right? That this thing is over. That is all you get, right? You get one, you get two, you get three. You slightly broke the top and we're going down. And in that case, what you do is you wait for it to break this low. Make a flag here, and then we look for a sell setup. But there's another chance you can look at it. Well, this is the impulse, and we're still consolidating here. And this would go back up eventually. Wait, you can put your entry above the top, or you can wait for this to give you a flag here and then buy, whichever comes first. So for now, you can leave that there and wait to see whether you get a flag for a sell, or you get an impulse and a flag for a buy. Downside possible, upside possible. This is the bigger time frame, right? This is the top. This is the absolute top when we broke all of this, right? Remember, I had a line there. I don't know what happened to that line. We broke out, we pulled back, we broke out. What if this? I think this would do this. And then from this point, we'll see whether we want to look at that as a running flat for downside. But it could go back up. So the upside is still possible. This one actually broke too. Tag you, kind of go there, tag, come back. You would close the trade here because we took this under 15 minutes, right? These were 15 minutes trade. So the entry was above this top. Go there, come back, you close the trade. Right? So you go off with a break even. It either was going to take off. If you look at this, is all the flat. It was going to totally take off, or it's going to do what it did here and turn out this. This could still be all the flat. This could be a 1, 2, 3. A 1, 2, 3, and we're going down. Well, if you get a sell setup, you can take the trade. There isn't a sell setup here right now. Go back to the 1 hour. No sell setup. So you have to wait. Could it be we're making a bigger flat here and then go back up? Possible. You don't have a buy setup as yet. So we'll leave it like this. We'll wait to see if we get a flag here. We'll sell it. If it goes back up, make a flag, or above the top, you can buy. Same here. Well, this one I didn't think we trade because this one we were just waiting at it and see what it's going to do. And it actually came down, so we'll wait and see what happens here. If you get a flag here, it could be a sell to break the low. If they go back up, somewhere in here on the way up, we'll get a flag to buy, something like this. You wait for it to go up, make a flag like this, and then you buy. Make a flag like this, and then you buy, right? So right now, there's no buy setup on it, no sell setup. It makes a flag here, you get a sell setup. Perfect sell setup, worked well. If you took the trade, it's good. You have many more sell setups on this as you go down. So we took that sell. You could have actually taken it here, close, re-enter. You would have got another sell setup here, and you're getting another sell setup here. So what you do, wait for this to consolidate in the 1 hour. If you get a good, you're already getting a good consolidation. That's a sell setup. That is a sell setup. What's the big picture? Where it can go to? Well, it's dropping, so they can pretty much go lower. If we assume they're doing this, let's put an arrow to see how far that could go. Let's assume for a second that they're doing this. There's still more to go, right? 1 second, guys. Very sorry about that. I had to take the call. I was waiting for it, actually. Yeah, let's go. So there is more to go, which means if you get a 1 hour flag, it's a sell setup. Go for it, right? That's it. Nifty. the first sell would have come, this would not be a sell for me, but this would be a sell. When you break these lows, if you get a consolidation, you go for that sell. Because then we would assume that this could be a contracting flat, or you're making an extended running flat. At some point, it's going to go back up, right? We don't have this. But if you get a flag here again, you sell. If you get another flag, you sell. Eventually, you'll get this. Right? So if it keeps giving you flag, you sell. If you get a reversal and a flag, you can consider the buy. We don't have a reversal and a flag. Most likely, you get a consolidation here and one more drop. Okay, we finished these already. So I'll close it. Thank you for watching. It's very short but quick, so we might add some more to these stocks eventually, especially if you guys have access to buying Russian stocks. You might want to consider that. Oil stocks, gas stocks, there are a lot of stocks in Russia that are not going to collapse. They might be cheap, but they're not going to collapse. And if you have access to buying without being sanctioned, I'm not calling on anybody to go buy any Russian stock. Okay, but from a trading point of view, when it's at the bottom, you buy. When it's at the top, you sell. That's simple, right? So take care, trade with care, and see all of you next week. Maybe this week I'll try to put out some video, but this week I have a lot of practice sessions with my group, so I'll try my best. Thank you. Bye-bye.